Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 5th, and we're certainly pleased to have all of you here tonight. To get the city's business underway, let's identify which city councilors are here tonight. If you could just do a roll call, please.
Council members Intamin.
Here.
Erpenbach.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
Karski.
Here.
Rolfing.
Here.
Aguilar.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Thank you. All city councilors are present. We thank them for their service. We'd like to start tonight's meeting with an invocation, as we always do. We do have Pastor Val Putnam from Westminster Presbyterian Church here in Sioux Falls. After Pastor Val gives us the invocation, we'd ask you to remain standing, and then we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all please stand. Thank you. Pastor Val.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious God, what an honor to celebrate our liberty and come off of a weekend with great joy and celebration. But we now come before you humbly seeking your wisdom, your courage, your compassion, and give to each here the ability to risk for the good of all peoples. Guide this council in their deliberations this hour as they exercise their calling to serve this community with energy, imagination, and care. Give to each one an extra measure of grace to listen to all voices, to make decisions with heart and head, and to trust your guidance in all that is said and done. We give you thanks for all who give willingly of their time and their talents to make a difference in this community and beyond. We ask this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Pastor Val. We'll start with reviewing the consent agenda. Councilors, any changes to the consent agenda or any motions?
Move to approve, Anderson.
Second, Intamin.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, seconded by Councilor Intamin. Any comments? A roll call vote, please.
Council members Intamin.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Moving on to tonight's regular agenda. Council, any changes or comments?
Move approval, Erpenbach.
Second, Aguilar.
Councilor Erpenbach's made a motion to approve tonight's regular agenda, seconded by Councilor Aguilar. Any comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Erpenbach.
I would like to make a motion to amend the regular agenda by deferring item 25 to the meeting of Monday, July 18th, 2011 at 7 o'clock p.m.
Second, Aguilar.
Thank you. There has been a motion to amend tonight's regular agenda by deferring item 25 to July 18th. It was seconded by Councilor Aguilar. Any questions or comments, Council? Very good. Vote, please.
Council members Intamin.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. We now have an amended regular agenda for tonight's meeting. Any further changes? If we could have a vote on the amended regular agenda.
Council members Intamin.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Thank you. Folks, again, welcome to tonight's meeting. We're so pleased to have you here. This is an opportunity for you to engage the City Council if you'd like. If there's anything that you want to chat about, please come forward. All we'd ask is that you keep your comments to 5 minutes in length or shorter, and just introduce yourself to the Council. And then last but not least, if it is involving a topic that's going to happen later on in the meeting, we'd ask you to hold your comments until then. Please come forward, anybody. Welcome.
I'd like to, I'm Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Thanks, Scott.
I'd like to first start out by, it's the day after Independence Day, so I want to talk about my my favorite founding father, Benjamin Franklin. And I probably don't have his quote correct.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, could you ask our speaker here to remove his hat? I'm sorry.
Why is
Would you
that?
mind?
Why's that?
It's decorum inside the building and in front of the people here to remove the hat. I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind, thank you.
No problem. And it's funny that you asked me to remove my hat because it has to do with this quote quite a bit. Benjamin Franklin said, "Anybody who would sacrifice freedom for a little bit of safety deserves neither." And he also said that God is proof, or beer is proof that God wants man to be happy. But that's not why I'm here. I have a few things I want to talk about. A couple of things are short. First thing is the event center and at the arena site. We want to build these parking lots all the way out to nowhere, but most event centers that are built in close proximity to a place in the Midwest, they build a ramp. And if you build a ramp next to the event center, not only can you charge a fee, that people who are coming to an event can get out of their car, walk a few hundred feet, get an elevator, and be at the event. Now, during the summertime, this is probably not going to be a big thing. People are not going to want to pay a fee to be in a parking ramp and walk 6 blocks. But when it's 20 below out, that $5 fee is not going to bother them one bit. And that's something that should be explored before we build an event center at the arena or wherever we're going to build it. And I just say a parking ramp is a good idea. I've been to events in other bigger cities, and they always have a parking ramp next to the event center. So that's a very good idea to explore. The other thing is the indoor pool. Now, I'm not against an indoor public pool, but I think our idea about it is kind of weird. We should do it with the school district so it would get its full use. We would share the cost with the school district. Kids could use it during the winter time, during their PE exercises and physical training. You could do 2 pools. You could do a curtain in between, and the kids could use it during the school day. People who are not with the school could use it, and at night you could pull the curtain and you could have it. You could share the costs and stuff. The thing about an indoor pool is a lot of people support it, and the Argus Leader had an editorial today that was way off base. They said 60% of people on the survey supported it, yes, but 1 in 7 of those people only supported it if it was self-sustaining. That's the key here. Make it self-sustaining. To make it self-sustaining, you have to have user fees pay for it. Why not have the school district partner up with the city of Sioux Falls? You could use it to its full capacity. You could make money from it. The golf courses in Sioux Falls make money. There's no reason why we can't make money off of an indoor pool. But the last thing I want to talk about is something that I dug into a few weeks ago while I was looking at water rates. I did a search on SiouxFalls.org of salaries, popped up right away. The PDF document came up right away of all the city employee salaries. I don't care what Joe Smith makes. I wasn't there to care about that. What surprised me was a 27-page document that was so convoluted and so unorganized that I couldn't believe that a city that had a budget of almost $300 million put out a document like that. And I'm just going to take page 3. And let me remind you, it's a 27-page document that's not page numbered. There's no page number on the document. None. It is not in alphabetical order. It is not by department. It is not by management. It is not by anything. There is no reason why this document is this way. I'm not going to give names, but I'm just going to go down the list. Page 3, it goes department. We're going to go by department. Health, fire, engineering, park, fleet, health, media. In other words, none of these people go together. If you go over to the weekly wages and the salaries, it goes hourly, biweekly, hourly, biweekly, hourly, biweekly. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I asked somebody, I don't use Excel software. It's obvious that this is put together in Excel software, and I don't use this. But it's pretty obvious that this document exists somewhere in the city of Sioux Falls, probably the Human Resource Department, in the way it should be, by department, by salary, by hourly. And then there's a randomizer program in Excel where it randomizes all these numbers. I'm going to say this to you, Mike. It's not you that did this. It's the past administration that put this together. And I mean, it's pretty obvious. But I'm asking you as a mayor, and transparency, a citizen should be able to go on the city website and should be able to go to a department, parks, rec, whatever, and should be able to look and see what a lawnmower makes. People don't care what your name is. People just want to know, what does a guy who mows the lawn for the city make for money? The thing that disappoints me about this the most is that it's very, very misleading. And it doesn't take a lot to fix this at all, because we know a real document exists somewhere. This was randomized before it was given to the public. It was randomized before it was given to the newspaper to print. There is no reason why a citizen shouldn't be able to come on to the city website, go to Parks and Rec, and find out what a lawnmower makes. There's no reason. I shouldn't have to go through a 27-page document and find a lawnmower. I'm serious. This should be fixed. And like I said, Mike, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying this is unacceptable. If we want to be transparent in government, this is a prime example of how we should be transparent.
I understand.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Folks, is there anyone else who'd like to address the council or me as well? Anybody? Welcome. It's good to have you here. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Alan Newman. I'm a office manager for Mac Pros, a computer store here in town. And despite the well-known corporate logo on our sign, we are in fact locally owned, a single owner entrepreneur in the purest sense who simply saw that there was an opportunity to do business in Sioux Falls and took that opportunity. It's what everybody wants to do. And I'm here tonight to talk about what was agenda item number 25, which I'm somewhat relieved has been deferred, and I hope that means I can still address that topic tonight as it's still under consideration. I don't really know what I'm doing here. Honestly, this is not my area of expertise. I'm what you would have to call, and what I admit would be, a computer nerd who essentially does what I do because it's where I can be useful. And I was literally minding my own business when I started to hear about this proposed ordinance that would seem to impose a lot of new regulation, oversight, and procedural complexity to the process of part of our business, which is trading in, buying, and selling used computers and other electronics. And I think what's important from our perspective is that this is all new to us. Currently, as I understand it, and I apologize for my ignorance because I really haven't been paying attention to any of this before it seemed to touch upon us, that currently there are pawn shops in the community rather, that already are somewhat regulated in how they process the receiving of goods and who they bought it from, and record-keeping requirements. And I understand that the police department has a degree of concern that the type of business done in pawn shops provides some type of opportunity for fencing of stolen goods. What my concern is that there seems to be a proposal to expand this regulation beyond the stores that it currently covers and add a lot of additional requirements. For us, from our perspective, this is not an amendment to existing regulation. This is going from virtually zero regulation to everything that's in this proposal in whatever state it's currently in. And we have 4 full-time employees in addition to our owner. I'm not the owner. I'm the office manager, and I'm basically the person who would have to deal with implementing compliance with this. Frankly, I don't want to do it. It seems unnecessary. in years past, we did receive contact from the police department asking us to take some reasonable steps in record keeping so that if it was necessary to investigate whether merchandise in our possession had been stolen, we would have sufficient records that they would be able to investigate an actual complaint that a crime had occurred. So we do keep identification records of who we buy from or take trade-ins from, and all of the merchandise we happen to deal with, unlike a lot of other used merchandise, is serialized. And because we specialize in one brand of computer, it's likely, not all the time, that we might have sold it when it was new in the first place, and so we may also have a record of the original transaction. So I think we already have the basis covered pretty well. If there's an actual allegation of a theft, people know where we are, and if information needs to be found, we have it. This scheme that is proposed where we would have to be constantly tagging, categorizing, entering into a database that isn't even operated by the city but apparently a private contractor out of state is an incredible increase in workload that, from a personal perspective, I don't want to handle. But it's not just my selfish interest when I think about it. This entire thing seems to harm a lot of people. When we look at what used merchandise is really about, it's not just an opportunity for us to make more money. It's important to the entire economy because it provides for people who have less income the ability to join people who have more income in sharing in some of the same items that help with the standard of living. It helps them achieve a higher standard of living than they could otherwise if there wasn't secondhand merchandise. Adding all of this regulation is going to increase the cost of used products. There's no way around it. I don't hear the city allocating funds to pay me more money to do this extra work to keep track of this. So that cost is going to come out of some other place. Higher prices, or maybe we just won't even deal with it. Honestly, because I like technology, I actually like new computers better than old computers. So there's a part of me that wouldn't mind seeing all of the used stuff go away. In fact, I used to have a little bit of elitism that I thought, well, if you're not with it on the latest technology, then you're just not as cool. But that, when I think about it, that's not fair. Just like I don't think this ordinance is fair. I think this is hurting a lot of people, and it's not what I consider to be a legitimate form of law enforcement. My idea of law enforcement is that when someone complains that a crime has been committed, then the police go and investigate it. We have a process for that where they gain evidence when there's probable cause, when there's reasonable suspicion. They go where the evidence leads to investigate that crime. Their proposal is not investigation. It's surveillance. It's watching what we do all the time to see if they catch something. And we're the ones that have to do the work. Now, I'm just going from what I've heard about. This is not my thing. But it seems to me we have a Constitution which works pretty well most of the time. And I don't see why we need to be imposing all of this upon people who are just trying to do business, driving up the cost of used merchandise, and just making things harder for a hypothetical benefit that we may catch more stolen goods. Definite harm, possible improvement. I know some people support this. I know some retailers support it. It strikes me that if a retailer is not primarily in the business of used merchandise, perhaps they don't mind if sellers of used merchandise are buried under more red tape and have to raise costs, because that will decrease the difference between the price of used merchandise and new merchandise. It will make used merchandise less attractive, or perhaps take it off the market altogether.
Mr. Newman, you've done an eloquent job, and just to let you know, this will be discussed again in future weeks. You're certainly welcome to come back as well. And And if you want to even study it a bit more, I think you'll find that some of your questions will also be answered, but also some of the comments that you've relayed, you've not been alone. Others have relayed those very same concerns. But with your permission, we'd like you to come back at another date, but you are on minute 9, and if you don't mind, we certainly do appreciate your commentary, though.
I apologize for taking the excess time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes. Councilor Anderson.
I was
Jr.
going to ask if the gentleman has contact information. We may want to give that to the officer right next to you.
Very good. Mr. Newman, just he'll get your information. Folks, is there anyone else who'd like to speak to the council on any topic? Please, welcome.
That might be helpful.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. For the record, George Hahn, Sioux Falls. I've been a real estate agent since dirt was young. I got a call last week from a young fellow from the north central part of the state. He wants to move to Sioux Falls, start a business. He's a skilled welder, metal worker. He fixes and repairs things like kids' wagons and tricycles and bicycles and barbecues, and he sells them as secondhand merchandise. And he said, well, what can I do to start a business like that here in Sioux Falls? What are the hassles I got to go through? I explained our new secondhand merchandise ordinance that was being proposed. He said, you got to be kidding me. I'm not a computer guy. I'm a welder. He's no longer looking in Sioux Falls to buy a home, locate a business here. He's looking in nearby smaller communities where, as I'm quoting the fella, they ain't in your face all the time about nothing, end quote. Over the last decade in particular, and I've lived here all my life, nearly 62 years, we have imposed rules on everything. Until you took office, Mayor, there were 10 people running around with citation books, issuing tickets for things I've never even heard of. I've had my confrontation with a couple of them and prevailed, I dare say. But at a point, we make it too difficult to do business. National statistics out last week say we are the 4th most business-friendly state in the nation. They haven't talked to local small business people. Coming up this fall, there's a swap meet for model railroads out at the Don G. Cook Expo building at the fairgrounds. I might take some stuff I've had out there and trade it, swap it, sell it. Am I going to enter all that stuff on some national database? I think not. Nor are hundreds of other model railroaders that attend this event annually. This is an imposition of a lot of extra work that will cost people a fortune. I have no quarrel with assisting the police department. They've got an onerous task keeping things in check, and they do a darned good job of it. But there comes a point when we just have too many rules. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. Folks, anyone else who'd like to acknowledge the council, please come forward. Thank you.
I'm Roger Algersma. I came to talk on 33, so I'll be back. But I got a short comment on what they're saying, and I don't know how much the rules or problems are. But I've had 2 laptops and 3 bicycles stolen in this town, and no trace of where they went. Most used dealers take in a product and trade for a new one. People that will just buy up used stuff. It's just too easy for somebody to steal something and go into business selling to the used dealer. I think there's any good businessman has a list of his own inventory, and if they can, nowadays computers are cheap. You can just email it in. I think there could be a way for the police to know the inventory without too much paperwork. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Well, thank you very much for the comments. We certainly appreciate it. We'll now move on to item number 14.
Deferred from meeting of 6/20/11, renewal of the 2011 12 package malt beverage license for Bauer Enterprises, LLC, Pump and Pack to be operated at 5108 North Cliff Avenue with the security management plan submitted for an underage sales violation in 2010.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori Hogstead with the City Attorney's Office here for item 14. This item was deferred from the council meeting of June 20th as the applicant was not present at that particular meeting. I did want to point out that with the 5-year history, they have just had one underage sale, and that occurred in 2010 after the renewals were completed last year. And that's the reason that we need them here tonight. And also they did submit their security management plan, and that was approved by the police department. And we also have a representative from the police department that works with the stings if you have questions on that as well. But Becky Bauer is the applicant, and she is here to answer questions if you would like her to come up.
Yes, I think
Yes,
we would.
okay.
Lori?
Becky?
Becky, thank you for coming tonight. Council, any questions of Becky? Yes, Councilor Jameson.
Mayor and council, I think it's always just appropriate that we hear from the applicants and hear their side, what happened, explain to us what their steps, what steps they've taken and procedures they've changed to prevent this, or education that they've done to prevent it from happening in the future, and things like that. I think somehow or another we should almost always hear from these individuals.
Councilor Jameson, thank you. Great job. Becky, would you mind just giving us some insight on what's happened with your firm?
The gal who was working the night it happened was new. She was sick. She was working. She saw one person walk in, another person walk in, a third one walk in. She felt rushed. The guy came up with beer. She asked for his ID. He showed it to her. It was red. She just was flustered and thought she'd sold him liquor before, thought he looked familiar, so she did it. What we've done to change it is basically they have to enter it into the register, the birth date off of every ID. My husband's TAM certified, so he signed up to become an instructor, but they canceled the class, so I don't know, he has to go to Pier or something in September to do it, and then we're going to instruct our own employees.
Becky, I know that the council asked this. What happened to that employee who served the product illegally?
Typically we fire them. That's what they're told ahead of time, but considering the circumstances, I'd give her a second chance.
Is she still employed with your firm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Intiman.
Do you instruct your employees then on what to do? Can you tell us a little bit about the training procedure that you have?
Well, basically we just tell them they have to card everybody who buys alcohol or cigarettes. I mean, unless they're obviously gray and old, and they can enter it right into the register. I mean, it tells you either accept or deny. They cannot buy it without ID.
Thank you.
Becky, thank you very much. Council, would anybody like to make a motion on item number 14?
Move to approve, Karski.
Second, Intiman. Councilor Karski's made a motion to approve item number 14, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. Any further comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
The gray and old one says yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 15.
Deferred from the meeting of 6/20/11, renewal of the 2011-12 package malt beverage license for Walgreen Company, Walgreens number 05242, to be operated at 4900 South Cliff Avenue with the security management plan submitted for an underage sales violation in 2011.
Thank you, Jamie. As Jamie read, there was just one underage sale in 2011 for the 5-year history of the stores. In fact, they haven't had their licenses all that long. We do have 2 representatives here for Walgreens. We have the store manager, Dan Dannenbring, and the district manager, Jason Frederick. If those 2 could come up, please.
Dan and Jason, welcome. I think Councilor Jameson did an excellent job trying to explain what it is that the council's trying to understand from you. And if you could just kind of give us your flavor for what is Walgreens doing to try to help ensure this doesn't happen again.
Sure. I mean, anytime someone's going to purchase tobacco or alcohol, we do require an ID to be presented. In this particular case, the cashier did ask for the ID, and she failed to type in the birth date into the register, which would have blocked the sale. She did the math in her head and thought it was okay to sell. So that's how this one did slip through. There was another sting, though, I think 2 months after she did fail, for the same exact cashier, and she did pass that time. What we've done since then is we've added an ID scanner at all of our registers. So now there is no typing the ID in anymore. It's just you scan the driver's license and it pops up if it is of age or not of age.
The employee who made the mistake, is that person still working with Walgreens?
She is. She received what's called a final written warning, which means that was her one chance, and now if she has any violations for tobacco or alcohol, then she does lose her job.
Yes, Councilor Intiman.
Could you explain a little bit about your training program for your staff, please?
Sure. We have a computerized training program, and every staff member that's hired by us has to go through 2 different tobacco and alcohol trainings. One is just an acknowledgement of the policies to require an ID for anyone who's making a purchase. And the second one is about an hour interactive video training that kind of goes through different scenarios and has people approach, and they try to give you different forms of IDs that are not legal government forms. And they all do have to pass that training before they're allowed to go on the registers.
Okay, thank you. Move to approve, Intiman.
Councilor Intiman, thank you so much.
Second, Anderson.
There has been a motion to approve item number 15, seconded by Councilor Anderson, Jr. Any further questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Intiman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item 16, please.
New 2011-12 retail malt beverage license for RSHH LLC, Ched's Gourmet Grilled Cheese, to be operated at 323 South Phillips Avenue, Suite 101, with conditional use permit 2011-03-15 being approved on 5/4/11. 17, new 2011-12 packaged malt beverage South Dakota Farm Winery license for Andy's Affiliated Foods, Inc. Andy's Affiliated Foods to be operated at 1025 South Cleveland Avenue, previously licensed as packaged malt beverage. 18, renewal of the 2011-12 retail malt beverage license for Golden Bowl Corporation, Golden Bowl, to be operated at 2600 South Spring Avenue. 19, special one-day liquor license for SMG to be operated at Orpheum Theater, 315 North Phillips Avenue, for a wedding reception on July 30th, 2011. 20, special one-day liquor license for Ovation Food Services, LP, to be operated at the Sioux Falls Baseball Stadium, 1001 North West Avenue, in the Tiki Bar and Suites for the Crow Fest on July 15, 2011. 21, special one-day liquor license for Washington Pavilion Management, Inc., Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science, 301 South Main Avenue, for the WHS Class of 1971 reunion on July 16, 2011. 22, special one-day liquor license for Prairie Pasta, Inc., Johnny's Carinos, to be operated at the Old Courthouse Museum, 200 West 6th Street, for a wedding reception on October 15, 2011. 23, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine license for the Almost Home Canine Rescue, to be operated at the 8th and Railroad Center, 401 East 8th Street, in the boardwalk and parking lot for the 600 Summer Classic on August 6, 2011. 24, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for the Multicultural Center of Sioux Falls, to be operated at the Coliseum, 515 North Main Avenue, for roller dolls competitions to be held on July 23rd, September 10, October 15, and November 5, 2011.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, thank you, Jamie. Item 16, as Jamie read, is a new license for a new retail malt beverage for beer. 17 and 18 are last-minute, under-the-wire renewals. And then 19 through 24 are special one-day licenses. I can answer questions on items 15 through 24.
Is there anyone in the audience who want to speak to any of these items? Very good. Counsel?
Move to approve, Intiman.
Second, Karski.
There's been a motion to approve by Councilor Intiman, seconded by Councilor Karski. Any further comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to
Councilor Bach.
amend that motion to remove item 21 to be approved separately.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second, Rolfing.
Great. There has been a motion to amend the main motion, which would be to review items 16 through 24, except item 21. And that was seconded by Councilor Karski. Is there any further questions or comments?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Anderson.
Also, I need to make a substitute amendment to have 24 removed also. So that can be voted on separately.
Is there Councilor Anderson Jr., would we be able to vote? Should we vote on Deborah, should we vote on the first amendment first and then consider a second one? Would you recommend that, Deborah? Yes. Thanks for coaching me.
Can you vote on
I appreciate it. Is that what you recommend?
Will you be voting on 24?
No, I'm asking them to
Motion to amend, to remove item 21. And Councilor Urbanbach, would you want to share the rationale?
Well, because there is a conflict for one of our council members
Very good.
for item number 21.
Thank you so much. And Councilor Aguilar, would you like to?
I'd like to know whether I can vote on the amendment, since I'm the one that has to excuse myself.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I kind of blew this one, didn't I?
Mr. Pfeiffer said yes. So, well, we do have an amendment to consider. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Council members Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Anderson Jr.
Okay. I'd also like to ask that item 24 be removed due to a conflict of interest that I have in that item.
Second, Rolfing.
There has been a motion to amend the amended motion, and that was seconded also by Councilor Rolfing. Any further questions? Very good. If we could have a vote on that, please.
Council members Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Council, if there's no further discussion, what we're going to be voting on are items 16 through 24, except item 21 and 24. Is there any further discussion?
How long ago was 1971?
Any further comments? Very good. Then, if we could have a roll call vote, please, and with this particular vote, is Councilor Aguilar and Councilor Anderson Jr., they will not be voting. They can vote on this one? Oh, thank you. Deborah, thanks for coaching us. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Would we like to vote on item number 21, please?
Move to
And Councilor Aguilar will be leaving on this particular vote.
move to approve. Brown.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Brown has made that motion to approve, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Any further discussion? Very good. If we could have a roll call vote, please, on item number 21.
Council members Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve item number 24?
So moved, Erpenbach.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Urbanbach has made that motion to approve item number 24, seconded by Councilor Karski. Any further discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Pardon me, Mayor. The record should reflect that Councilor Anderson recused himself.
Thank you very much. Councilor Anderson Jr. has left, so he doesn't vote on this. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Intiman,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 25. Or no, item 26. Sorry? Item number 25 was deferred, folks. Item 26.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by repealing the 3-year expiration for residential rental unit registrations.
Welcome, Mike.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services, and also Lincoln High School class of 71. I'm sure that was out of order.
Is that in Illinois, Mike?
This item before the council tonight is being brought to you with the assistance of the Land Use Committee. A number of years ago, when the City Council enacted a requirement for all rental units to be registered with the city, there was a 3-year renewal process as part of that ordinance. As we've discussed with the Land Use Committee, we feel that that's a little bit cumbersome, and in the interest of reducing regulation, the Land Use Committee has recommended that we can repeal that 3-year renewal. Just by way of information as well, we currently have approximately 15,900 rental units registered, and that represents 1,467 property owners and managers. The reason that we have this registration is so that we have a record, a database of property owners, managers, number of units, that kind of information that we can use if we need to notify somebody or, again, through our code enforcement action. So of the 15,900 units that are currently registered, we are estimating that there's probably around 25,000 rental units in the city. And we base that on census data and other estimates that we have of information. So we're capturing somewhere in that 60-65% range. And we are working on notifying people through the Multi-Housing Association, other avenues to encourage people to be aware of what the requirements are. If we do discover that units are not registered, say through a code enforcement action, then we do make that a requirement. So I think it's a good process, but again, I believe in working with the Land Use Committee, we believe that we are okay in repealing the 3-year renewal process. So with that long explanation, this is being brought to you on behalf of the Land Use Committee and encouraging your support of this amendment.
Mike, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who want to speak to this item? Very good. Council, any questions, comments? Yes, Councilor Ortenbach.
I just sit on the Land Use Committee and wanted to add a couple of comments that the committee brought up. And we did have a member of the Multi-Housing Board, actually the Executive Director of Multi-Housing came and spoke in favor of this particular action. The thing that I asked Kevin Smith early on was, have there been times when we've actually pulled someone's registration, that we've taken away their ability to do business? Can you talk about that a little bit?
In the ordinance, there were a number of provisions, including, this is actually a permit. We call it registration, but technically it's a permit to allow people to rent out their property. And they have to be in good standing. They have to be in conformance with all city codes and ordinances. And if we find that there is a significant amount of violations, or if it's such a degree that we believe those units should no longer be rented out, we can revoke that permit. And up to this point, we have not done that.
And we haven't, Mike, because it isn't really our intention to take away people's livelihood from these rental units. It really is more our intention to help them come into compliance. And then my other question is regarding, we always talk about the benefit to the landowner, to the landlord. Can you talk about that a little bit? What benefit do they get from being registered?
Well, first of all, there's no charge to do this. The benefit is that it gives, again, it gives us the correct contact information, whether it's an emergency situation or if it's a code enforcement issue, so that we know who to contact. It could be the property owner. If it's an owner that's not located within the city or within the state, there's a management contact that we can use. So I think it's really not only to protect or to help us with our enforcement, but also provides the property owner with assurance that, let's say that there's a notification that gets sent out of a notice of violation, rather than sending it to some company in New York or some bank that's out of state, and then they miss the requirement for compliance, we can contact a local management company or on-site manager, and I think it just improves the ability for us to enforce our local ordinances and for them to work with the city as well on code enforcement.
If I might, one more thing, Mayor, and just to put that into real terms, we would see fewer landlords in that hearing where we talk about snow shoveling.
Mm-hmm.
If they were registered and we had the actual address of the person who either owned the property or managed the property, so that the snow would be shoveled on time,
Yes.
and we wouldn't have the issues wherein the city had to remove their snow and charge them for it. And so I'm a huge supporter of this, and I would encourage my colleagues to vote for this because it is a protection not only for the city but for people who live around those folks, and it is a protection for those people that own that property that's being rented out.
And right now, we're in the midst of our vegetation ordinance enforcement, and again, it gives us a quick database of who to contact.
Councilor Urbanbach, would you consider making a motion to approve?
Oh, I would be glad to do that. I would move approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second Aguilar.
It's been a motion by Councilor Urbanbach, seconded by Councilor Aguilar to approve item number 26. Any further questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 27.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by charging a replacement fee for reloadable fare cards for transit.
Good evening. Deborah Gaikowski, Transit Planner for the City of Sioux Falls. Several months ago, Sioux Area Metro started selling the reloadable fare card. This is a card that can be used for up to 4 years. When somebody comes in and purchases the card, they can either put a pass on it or a dollar value. We do not charge for the card when they come and purchase one. What this ordinance does is allow us the ability to charge a $5 replacement charge if somebody comes and has either lost their card or has ruined it in some way where it's unusable. So we would like to have this ordinance so we can charge a fee for any replacements.
Anyone in the audience want to speak to this? Council, any questions? Yes, Councilor Karski.
I have a question. Now, the card, let's say I get $50 or monetary value on it, and I lose it, and I want to get it replaced. Do you know how much I've used on that card, and are you going to be replacing it with the balance that I have left, or is that the whole idea behind this?
When the card is purchased, we take the person's name and it has a serial number that's encoded on it. So if it's lost, we're able to deactivate the old card and then reload a new card with the balance that was on the old card.
So this is really protecting that person that owns that card, if they have a
is.
large balance especially.
It is, definitely.
Councilor Aguilar.
Move approval,
Thank you.
Aguilar.
Second Anderson.
And a motion by Councilor Aguilar, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. to approve item number 27. No further comments, so roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 28.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 3801 West 41st Street from the C4 Planned Commercial District to the C2 General Commercial District, petition number 2011-0507, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Scooper.
This rezoning petition consists of approximately 1 acre of land along 41st Street. It's part of the Empire Mall campus area, and it includes the existing location of their electronic message sign that they use for advertising. We have been working with the Empire Mall on this issue for some time. Within our current zoning ordinance, we regulate signs based on definitions of on-premise advertising and off-premise advertising. And essentially, an on-premise advertising sign is designed to advertise businesses located on that property or within that building on that property. Off-premise advertising goes back to the traditional definition of a billboard, where it can advertise a business located anywhere within the city limits. We are working right now on a study group to update our zoning ordinance, including the sign requirements. But in the meantime, as we've been working with the Empire Mall, they have developed a process with their sign whereby they can not only advertise on-premise businesses currently physically located within the Empire Mall area, but also off-premise advertising for businesses that would buy advertising within the mall, either on a display area or in a kiosk. And those businesses that buy that advertising space within the mall are also allowed to advertise on this electronic message sign. So it doesn't definitely or technically fit the definition of our current ordinance as either on or off premise. So this zoning is a quicker fix because the C4 zoning, which is currently the zoning, limits signs to on-premise advertising. The proposed zoning change to C2 gives the flexibility of on or off-premise advertising. So this is a way to allow the Empire Mall to continue with their signage. And in the meantime, we are still working through our sign ordinance regulations to address this as well as other locations on a more permanent basis. So that's a long explanation of why we are recommending that you approve this rezoning request.
Anyone in the audience want to speak to this item? Councilor Karski.
Yes, Mike. Are we talking specifically about that one little black square that you have in the middle? Is that, or is it the entire mall property?
It's just that 1 acre area, which is where the sign is located.
Would that, changing the ordinance or the zoning, allow for any other usage than what's currently there?
It could require, because it is 1 acre, it would most likely require a conditional use permit for any retail things like alcohol-related or adult uses or those kind of things. That would be the main change.
Okay.
But it's still primarily a retail use within the zoning ordinance.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
Mike, you said that this was a quick fix for the Empire Mall and that you're working on a new electronic sign ordinance. Are you working with any of our committees on that, or is that something the administration's working on first by themselves?
We are working through different study committees, and we are going to be providing periodic updates to the Land Use Committee. I think we've talked about some of that in the past. So, but this is part of our comprehensive update of the zoning ordinance. We have a study committee on parking and signage and landscaping, and so all of those we're working through kind of a public input, and then we'll be providing that to the Land Use Committee for your recommendations.
When are you thinking that might come to land use?
I would hope it would come to the land use late summer, early fall time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Deborah?
Thank you, Mayor. And I think there is portions of that that will be in land use at the end of this month that are scheduled to be.
I think our Land Use Committee
Did it get moved?
moved to August.
We'll check on that.
Not
I
that
think
I'm aware
I think
of.
it's in
Yeah.
July. Is that okay? I
Yeah.
think that's what it.
All right. I was
Yep.
thinking the July Land Use meeting got canceled, but okay.
Councilor Jameson.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second Anderson.
Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve item number 28, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 29.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Council Organization and Procedure.
Mayor and City Council, this is an ordinance that has been through the Public Services Committee. A number of hearings have been held regarding that and has been shaped with their recommendation to approve. It primarily focuses on updating all of the ordinances regarding the City Council organization and their procedure. Some things like we now include the notification to the council and the mayor for by electronic means for changing meeting times, including the informationals, which we no longer call briefings, and just updating that section along with adding working sessions of the City Council, and updating our City Council committee meeting and the structure, agenda deadlines and procedures, and ensuring that when council takes action on that is a new item before the council, that we adhere to all of the open meeting laws prior to a vote. There are some changes, though, to the rules in this ordinance, and let's talk about those. Those are more specific and probably are the ones that are of interest. So the committee decided to change the provision about entering into debate. Now the ordinance would no longer have the mayor or the acting mayor who would be allowed to enter into debate if they are presiding at the City Council meeting. In addition, changes to the provisions concerning failing to respond to a roll call vote will no longer be recorded as an affirmative vote of the council if that is in the past. Right now, the current ordinance, if you failed to state your name, you failed to state your yes or no vote, it would be recorded as a yes vote, and so that would be changed to You would just simply need to state your vote. It wouldn't be presumed that it would be an affirmative vote if the council adopts this ordinance. And then also, ordinance will continue to be reviewed by the city attorney in terms of form and legality, but will no longer be required to be prepared by them, and no longer will be required to have department heads overlook ordinances that aren't administered from their department if they're from the council. However, if they are ordinances that are being reviewed or, put forward by the administration, it would require the departments to look at those ordinances for review before consideration to the council. Any questions?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Erpenbach.
It's been a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr. to set a hearing and second reading for Monday, July 11th at 7 p.m. on item 29. It was seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. No further comments. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 30.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising the due process requirements found in Article 6, Administrative Appeals of Chapter 2.
David?
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, Dave Feifley with the City Attorney's Office. Briefly, item 30 would be a revision to the administrative appeals ordinances found in section 2-60 to 2-68. As a bit of background for the remaining council members, this has gone through the Public Services Committee, but for the other four of you, some of you maybe had attended, some of you maybe had not. But briefly, the city about 7 years ago started doing code enforcement cases as a civil enforcement action rather than a criminal enforcement action. Prior to that time, we were taking cases to the magistrate court. They were being treated as alleged criminal violations. We were allowing a magistrate judge to make essentially a thumbs up or a thumbs down ruling on that. And the city decided about 7 years ago to try to gain more compliance while also treating the citizens as a civil offense rather than a criminal offense, keep their criminal histories clean of these types of violations. The hopes was to gain considerable compliance. I'm proud to say that approximately 85% of the citizens do comply after they receive a notice of a code violation. But unfortunately in law we deal with the worst case scenario where some do not. We get about 350 cases per year of code enforcement. And where this ordinance applies is that it's been on the books since 1996. I've researched about 30 other cities. 2/3 of those cities have the same ordinance as we do now. But in order to gain public confidence in the process, and also, frankly, there are some legal challenges currently pending on this process. We believe the current process satisfies due process, but we would, thanks to working with you folks and with the mayor and others, we've been able to determine that maybe we need to make and bolster it even more, that confidence in the process. And I'll briefly go through what the changes would be. Under Section 2-60, it would change a 3-director panel option. It would eliminate it completely. It would be an independent hearing examiner who would be law trained. Indeed, this citizen who's law trained would be paid by the city, but that's no different than any state or federal judges currently. And that argument has been, in terms of they're not impartial if they're being paid by the entity, that argument has come and gone so many times. It's not an issue in the law. It also provides in that section kind of a more citizen-friendly format, laying out in greater detail how a citizen's supposed to file an appeal. It also provides for a processing fee. This was at the suggestion of some counselors, essentially to put some skin into the game, so to speak. If the citizen does prevail, that fee would be refunded. If they don't, obviously that would be applied towards the fine itself. Section 2-61 is just a more of a calendaring system where it will allow us more flexibility to find a convenient time with the citizen appealing. Currently it's 15 days. We're expanding that to 30. People go on vacation, what have you. Sometimes it's very difficult to get that 15-day time window in. And what we're hoping to do with the enactment of this is to have 2 different independent hearing examiners, have 2 different set days every month where we would be having those appeals being conducted. citizens could pick which one they want, or if everyone agrees mutually, we can set it out at a further date. But we want to make it as citizen-friendly as possible. Section 2-62 just talks about some of the hearing procedures. We're going to follow the rules of civil procedure, rules of evidence followed by lawyers everywhere. With a law-trained independent hearing examiner, it shouldn't be an issue. That person can make the rulings on the spot. It also provides that the city would have the burden of proof. There's been questions by citizens that maybe they felt like they had the burden of proof rather than the city. We've been operating that it's the city's burden. This would just codify it. There's no question. From here on out, it is the city's burden, be it by a preponderance of the evidence. It also talks about an interpreter, the proponent of whatever testimony, if that individual giving that testimony cannot communicate sufficiently in the English language, the person who's saying, I want this person to testify on my behalf, they got to pay for an interpreter. Section 2-63 just provides from additional procedural safeguards, and the most important one is the power to issue subpoena. So if you want a witness to come in, you've got, say, a citizen has a neighbor that has some information and they don't want to willingly come to the administrative appeal hearing, they can request that the hearing examiner issue a subpoena and have that person attend. 2-65 makes a change. As I've alluded to, the processing fee will be refunded if the appealing party prevails. And then 2-66 just talks about that it would still be subject to sorry, I've got dry mouth from antihistamines today. It would require that judicial review still take place in circuit court, and there's a couple avenues to do that. And by state law, we have to require that. And so we believe that this satisfies all of the citizen criticisms of the current process, and we appreciate certainly a lot of the mayor and council input and support that we've had in revising this. And it went through the committee process, and we made some further revisions at the suggestion of Councilor Brown. And we believe and we hope that you would move it to a second reading.
Councilor Karski.
I first want to acknowledge the Public Services Committee, the hard work, and this is a timed and well planned out piece of work. But I had one question, and that's under 260, under appeal permitted, where it says an independent hearing examiner who must be a member in good standing of the state bar shall be assigned to hear the appeal. Who assigns that person?
Our office would contract Councilor Karski with an independent hearing examiner. And right now we have Dustin DeBoer, who is a law-trained attorney. And to give you an idea of his background, he's done, I think he's been out in practice for about 14 years. He's had about 7 years of defense-oriented practice. He also was in the state's attorney's office of Minnehaha County, where he was a deputy state's attorney for about 7 years. Now he's gone back to private practice where, other than hearing city appeals, he is defending people on any charges. So we felt that that really gives him a broad-based spectrum, and he's very impartial.
Should that be addressed in this ordinance? I mean, how that person is decided, though, or who that?
Well, in terms of oversight for the council, is that what you're asking for?
Yeah.
Well, I would respectfully submit, Councilor Karski, that folks in our office would probably be the best knowledgeable on who would be a good and impartial judge for that hearing examiner, and certainly I respectfully would submit that I think it should come from our office.
And I guess the reason I ask that, if I'm the one who's appealing being cited for violating an ordinance, maybe I'd want to be the one that picks that independent person out.
Well, in every other court, Councilor Karski, it's the entity that picks and pays that particular judge, and that is just acceptable practice.
Okay.
Councilor Mbach.
I would just add that currently it's 3 random directors from the city staff, so it's even less. No disparaging on directors, but it's less impartial. I'm not saying that correctly grammar-wise, but this is going to be way better. Respectfully, it's going to be a way better thing. I would move that we set the hearing for the date specified on the agenda.
Second, Aguilar.
There's been a motion to set the hearing date and second reading for Monday, July 11th on item number 30, seconded by Councilor Aguilar. Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Just to add what Councilwoman Herfenbach said too, is that I also believe that this takes care of that due process and allows people that appeal not to see the same person that they're appealing to be the same person that wrote the citation. So this is much better, and I think we'll hear a lot more about it.
Seeing no further questions or comments, a roll call vote to set this hearing date.
Council members Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. 31.
Deferred from the meeting of June 13, 2011, a resolution declaring it necessary to levy and levying a frontage assessment against the lots, tracts, and parcels of land fronting and abutting upon 21st Street from Phillips Avenue to 7th Avenue in the city of Sioux Falls for the purpose of maintaining, planting, and otherwise improving and caring for the center parkways and boulevard thereon.
Welcome, Don.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Recreation. This resolution would levy assessments on those properties abutting and fronting 21st Street from Phillips Avenue to 7th Avenue for the care and maintenance of the medians that are on 21st Street. The assessment that we're talking about tonight has been in place since 1915, and there are 53 property owners that are assessed 85 cents per front foot, and the average assessment per property owners is about approximately $62 per year. The assessment rate of 85 cents has not changed since 1998, and with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Councilor Brown.
Don, this is something we do every year, but I think it's important each year that we explain to citizens why the Parks Department charges this assessment on this street.
Yeah, it is a specialized care that we do provide for these medians. They're Center Boulevard median. We do have contracted services that provide services on those medians, and probably, obviously, the standard of care is much higher than we would provide on a typical median throughout the city of Sioux Falls. And so the property owners at the time, back in 1915, evidently said, we want really nice medians and we're willing to pay for it. And so this extra care comes out of their pocket.
And if I might just add, you guys do a great job with it. It always looks very good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Move to approve, Anderson.
Second, Entman. Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve item number 31, seconded by Councilor Entman. Any further questions, comments? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. This passed 8-0. Item 32.
Deferred from the meeting of June 13, 2011, a resolution declaring it necessary to levy and levying a special front foot assessment fee for street maintenance and repair.
Galen, welcome.
Good evening. Galen Huber, Street Fleet Manager for Public Works. The ordinance requires the city to annually approve the resolution for front foot assessment. And this assessment goes into my operations budget and helps with my street maintenance, both summer and winter street maintenance. It's currently at $1 per front foot. We want to keep it at $1 per front foot for 2012, and would ask for your support on this.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Anderson.
You know, I apologize. I should ask, is there anyone in the audience who wanted to speak to this item first? I apologize. Anyone? Very good. And then it was Councilor Rolfing made a motion to approve, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Item that it passed 8-0. Item 33.
A resolution finding that the McCart Field Park concept involving Field 9 for the approximately 300 parking stalls does constitute a park purpose.
Welcome, Don.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney again with Parks and Rec. Back in April, there was a site analysis done for the proposed event center at the arena site, and the initial proposal included the conversion of 5 fields at McCart Park for a 750-space parking lot that would not only serve McCart Park, but the proposed event center at the arena site. And on the screen there, we've had some help with Steve helping us identify the original scope of where the proposed parking lot was to be. And so rather than just one field, it did impact 5 total fields at McCart. Following that presentation, the mayor and the city council asked us to take a look at ways of trying to minimize the impact to McCart. And recently a new plan was developed that really reduced the size of the lot from 750 proposed spaces down to approximately 300 spaces. Obviously, we're pleased with the revised plan that significantly minimized the impact to the fields at McCart, and so instead of 5 fields, it would really only impact 1 field as proposed. As proposed, we believe this plan will provide much needed parking to accommodate the park uses, that being kickball and softball at McCart. It enhances public safety by providing more off-street parking, and then also bring us more in line with current design standards for park facilities. And what I mean by that is that for reference purposes, if we were to build a new 10-field complex today, we would provide approximately 50 spaces per field to accommodate the amount of use that those fields receive. Or in this particular case, we would provide a 500-stall parking lot. And as proposed, the plan would tie into the existing parking lot that we have there at McCart. And one of the things that we did several years ago was to acquire a portion of that lot from the Moose Lodge. And currently we have 69 spaces at that location. The reason why we acquired that lot is because we had some concerns between the uses at the Moose Lodge and then uses at McCart, and the conflicts between the 2 uses. And so as a result of that, we did acquire a portion of their lot, which is labeled as existing lot on the diagram that you have before you. Again, in past years, there have been conflicts from time to time between the Softball Association and the Moose Lodge. And at one point in time, the Softball Association actually agreed to assist with manning the Moose Lodge parking lot to keep the softball players out of the Moose Lodge parking lot. And so obviously there's been some history there of conflicts with regard to parking. The other thing that was done in years past is that there's been some grass parking provided on the behind the outfield fence on field number 9, behind field number 9, where we actually painted the stalls on the grass to try to accommodate some of the additional parking needs that we had there. Ultimately, as I mentioned, the city did acquire 69 spaces from the Moose Lodge and to partially address the parking issue. And then the other thing that was done was that we did put up a fence in between the Moose Lodge parking lot and the parking lot that we recently acquired from the Moose Lodge to provide some additional separation. Obviously, there's a couple other stakeholders, major stakeholders, as part of the McCart Park parking plan issue. As most of you know, we spent some considerable time with Marty and Mary McCart, who had actually made separate trips down to Sioux Falls to meet with us regarding the proposed parking plan that's before you. And obviously, we wanted to keep them abreast of the ongoing dialogue that we had as we worked through this parking plan. And included in your packets is a letter of support for this parking plan from both Mary and Marty. And they really believe that the intent of the park itself, softball will continue, general recreation will continue at the park. And so they were very good to work with. Obviously, the other major stakeholder is the Softball Association. We have met with Dennis Lauer. He is the current president of the Softball Association. And even with the 10 remaining fields, they'll continue to be able to use those fields for the league play in combination with their current usage of Burnside. So between those 2 sites, based on their current registrations, they'll still be able to play all their games there based on those registrations. The reason why we're before you tonight is McCart Park is specifically dedicated as Park Department property for park use and purpose. And as a result of that, a council resolution was actually passed in 1979 to that effect. As a result of this status, there is a provision in state law, section 9-38-35, and I'll paraphrase a section out of that state law that says no structure may be erected or maintained within any park or parkway except structures or buildings as may be erected by the board for park purposes. And so as a result of that state law, Mayor Huther did ask the park board to determine whether the proposed parking plan that doesn't include field number 9 at McCart and the installation of 300 stalls, whether he asked the park board whether that constituted a park purpose pursuant to state law. Back on June 21st, the park board did meet to address the question that was put before them by the mayor, and then they did determine by unanimous vote of 5-0 that the proposed parking plan did constitute a park purpose. Therefore, we're now before you as a city council to take the park board's recommendation and act as well on your own behalf. The park board, again, did review it, and they recommend approval by the city council of the resolution. And tonight with us today, is Sandra Pay. Sandra is the president of our Parks and Recreation Board, as well as Mike Crane, who is the vice president of the Parks and Recreation Board, and would also like to provide you some additional information.
Roger, if you could just wait. We're going to have Sandra and Mike will speak on behalf of the Parks Board, and then we'll certainly open it up to the comments from the public. Thank you. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, I'm Mike Crane. As Don said, I'm a member of the Park Board, and in that, as a member, I serve as the chair of the Planning and Development Committee of the Park Board. And Don did a really good job of walking you through the process. What I want to do is just take a couple of minutes and emphasize 3 or 4 of the things that the Park Board members looked at as we were going about the process of passing this resolution that is in front of you tonight. And I want to emphasize to start with that our deliberations had a lot less to do with the event center and a lot more to do with what we felt was important to the future of McCart Park. As we looked at the park, as Don pointed out, if we were building that space today, we'd have 500 parking spaces. We currently have fewer than 80. This particular plan will give us a major improvement in parking. It will improve the use of the facility. It will improve the safety around the facility. The other thing that it'll do, about 2 years ago, we spent a considerable amount of money upgrading McCart. We added restrooms, we improved the fields, we did many things that were necessary to make this a real viable part of our recreation system. This addition of parking will further enhance the development of the facility and make sure that it maintains its viability. And finally, the thing that I would stress to you is, as we discussed this not only in committee but as a board, we looked at the staff and said, you know, regardless of what happens with the event center, we expect you to bring this back to us in our capital improvements process in one form or another so that this parking can be developed. There is a critical need there. It's one that needs to be addressed, and I hope that you'll approve this amendment, or this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator, welcome.
Sandra Pay. I also have a problem with the dry mouth. As president of the Park Board, I want to assure you that this issue was not taken lightly by the board members. It was reviewed and discussed thoroughly by not just Mike's committee, but all 3 of the Park Board committees. I personally talked to Marty McCart over the last months to be sure that she and her sister were comfortable with the process, and also that they knew that we wanted to continue to honor the legacy of their father. The Park Board is very pleased that McCart Park will benefit from the parking improvements being constructed as part of the proposed event center project. So we recommend that you pass this resolution declaring the McCart parking plan as a park purpose. Thank you,
Sandra. Thank you. And Council, before we open it up for questions, I'm going to go to the public. Roger, would you mind speaking to the Council, please?
I'm going to look both at the McCart parking situation, pedestrian safety, and traffic congestion, and that the idea that we really need 800 parking spaces. The point was reasonable that they have more parking space for the ball diamond. Although the possibility of them walking to the arena parking lot is there. There's some spaces around a lot of the outfields, but then there's the risk of getting a home run through your windshield too. But as far as parking for the arena, if you got 300 parking spaces and 3 people per car, that's 900 people crossing 2 major streets. Now that can be done fairly safely, but if your car waits for 50 and the car ways in front of you waited for 50 while you were waiting back there, this slows traffic a whole lot. So the congestion problem with 900 people crossing both Madison Avenue and Western Avenue gets to be a problem. I've seen an example of a big stadium built with almost no traffic congestion. I lived out in the state of Washington when they built the Kingdome. And to condemn that big a space near downtown was political suicide just about. So they took a space big enough for the stadium and a small parking lot for buses only. And you parked in your local mall or other major parking lot and rode buses in. And buses at 50 people apiece is way less congestion than cars at 3 people apiece. And so they didn't have much congestion by the stadium nor by the malls. Now, if you block off, another example I've seen with a bus, we went from church parking lots to the Sioux Empire Fairgrounds for the Franklin Graham Crusade, and the bus took the same street as the cars, which really was a traffic jam. I mean, it's a lot less than that many cars, but the bus couldn't move very well. If you block off Madison Avenue for buses only, and you had 20 buses taking 3 trips with 40 people a trip, you'd have 2,400 people moved. Compared to 800 parking spaces with 3 people per car, you'd have 2,400 people moved. Now, Madison goes right past the parking lot by the fairgrounds, not very far. And if the buses have a clear shot with no cars, and you have cars going down Western and West and both ways on Russell, you got 4 outlets, 2 lanes each for cars. And if Madison was for buses only and they could go to the mall or the Empire parking lot or parking ramps downtown, you get 40 people a bus, you got a whole lot less congestion. And you wouldn't need, I mean, maybe there's other places close by that you could make more parking space for the ball games, or the kids could walk to the arena parking lot. But, you know, and people got to get used to riding the bus. In Seattle, that's what they had to do, so they got used to it. If you want to go to the game, you do what it takes to get there. So it takes a very small place to have 20 buses. You only got to have 5 there at a time, and the other one's running back and forth. A very small space. The pedestrians walk right out of the convention center to the bus, a clear shot to the parking lot, just a whole lot less congestion, and 900 less people walking across the street to McCart. Thank you.
Roger, thank you. Welcome. Hi.
Just want to be able to see you. Mary Glunsky. I just wanted to comment relative to the ballpark. If you've driven through West Sioux at a time when the ball games are going on, you'll see cars parked everywhere on every street. Most of them are barely wide enough for a car to get through, and many of them are places where kids are darting out between cars and so on. So I think it's a tremendous safety issue to provide more parking for the ball field.
Thank you.
Good evening, James Eisbrand.
Hi, James.
Mr. Mayor and Council. I would just like to commend you on the great job that you've done on figuring out a plan to come up with parking. I've been assistant coach there for 3 years at Earl McCart Field. That's the first thing I noticed was parking. I mean, I've parked kitty corner there in that arena parking lot over by the Pheasant Stadium and had to walk with my 5 kids across the street. It's not safe. But having that parking lot there by the Moose, it's right on the ball diamond. I mean, Don, the director, and the Parks Board, and everybody in your staff that figured out this was, a good idea. It really is, and I would really encourage the council to vote this resolution in, because it's needed, and regardless of the event center, as an assistant coach and a parent, it helps make it safer for parking. It provides parking. It's just a great idea, and if the council votes it in, it would be just a gold star in my book. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Council, any questions or comments or motions?
Move to approve, Anderson.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve item number 33, seconded by Councilor Karski. Yes, Councilor Jameson.
I didn't quite get a chance to ask a question there.
Please.
But if I could, Don Kearney, do you have or could you, I guess, maybe the right question, could you get a priority list from the park board on this parking lot if indeed we should decide to build this parking lot, even if an event center isn't voted in? I just need to know where it is on their priority list as a importance. That would be it.
Okay.
Councilor, did you want him to try to answer that now, or you just want that?
Sometime.
Very good. Thank you very much.
I think it's a great
Good
idea
question.
to do this parking lot.
Thank you. Good question. Yes, Councilor Bach.
I just wanted to ask one quick question and then make a comment. And maybe James kind of explained it, but where are people parking now? If we should have 500 parking spots, where are they parking now?
All throughout the neighborhood, to be honest with you. And there are a lot of them that are still using the Moose Lodge parking lot, that still continue to use it despite our acquisition of a portion of it from them. But they're parking everywhere, on both sides of the street is the closest spot they could possibly find. So I know it's not a great situation, but certainly this will help meet the need.
Good, thank you, Don. And then two comments,
Please,
I guess. One is that when we're late for softball practice or baseball or whatever they play at McCart, we're stressed and we let our kids out in bad places. We don't think ahead, and I say that from experience. The other thing I would say then is that this resolution is regarding a park use, and I would encourage you to support this because of those safety issues, number one, but also it's a courtesy to the neighbors around. There are businesses there, the Moose Lodge and others who are right there. I would encourage you to vote yes on this resolution.
Yes, Councilor Entman.
I did attend the meeting that the park board had when they discussed that, and there is no doubt it was about the safety of the kids that were there. And I was very impressed, and I commend the park board. Also, they were extremely adamant that in case there are events going on elsewhere over in that complex, that sporting complex over there, that those are those are diamond parking spots, and that's what they're designated for, and that's what they will be used for. And I again, commend them. I think it's a great plan. I owned a business there. I know those frustrated mothers when they came and they started yelling at me because I asked them not to park in my parking lots. And it wasn't a very nice situation at all. So with the safety, the increased traffic on all of those streets, Madison Avenue, on Western Avenue, there's no doubt that this is the right decision.
Council, thank you very much for the questions and comments. There is a motion. Hearing no more questions or comments, roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
This passes 8-0. Item 34.
A resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizens' boards.
Good evening, City Council. Deborah Owen, City Clerk, Chief of Council Operations. Tonight, a resolution is before you to place Councilmember Kenny Anderson Jr. and Vernon Brown to the CCOG board, with their alternate being Councilmember Sue Aguilar, and then to the Urbanized Development Council, Councilmembers Kenny Anderson Jr., Councilmember Jameson, Councilmember Karski, Councilmember Rolfing, with the alternates being for the UDC, Councilmember Michelle Erpenbach, and myself. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Council, any questions or comments?
Move approval, Erpenbach.
Second, Entman.
It's been a motion by Councilor Erpenbach, seconded by Councilor Enneman to approve item number 34. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 35.
A resolution appointing members of the Districting Commission.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is a resolution to appoint members to the Districting Commission for the City of Sioux Falls. This, of course, is done through the authority of our city charter. And unlike most resolutions where the members are being appointed to serve, this one delineates their party affiliation. And that, in part, is because of our city charter, which was amended in 2010 through the help of a citizen to have 5 members, each from each city council district, but also that there's a requirement that no more than 3 commission members may belong to the same political party. And their names are Andy Traub, Ann Reeve Randall, Rick Noby, Mary Helen Glensky, and Lynn Keller Forbes, and some are here tonight.
Deborah, did you want them to speak or anything like that?
I think a request to have them stand.
If that'd be okay.
To stand.
Deborah, would you mind introducing these folks who are going to volunteer their time and talents to do this?
Yes, of course. We have Rick Noby in the blue shirt, Andy Traub, and cute little guy in the green shirt, but Andy's in the red shirt, and then Mary Glensky in white. Helen Keller Forbes sends her regrets. She had to be at a meeting out of town tonight, but thank you for coming.
Very good, very good. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Very good, Council.
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second with our thanks.
Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to approve this. Councilor Urbanbach seconded it. Any further questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 36.
Report of the June 27, 2011 Notice of Transfer of Appropriations within Major Organizational Units.
Council, would anyone like to make a motion to approve? No, don't have to. Thank you. If that is it, any further questions or comments, Council? Very good. If I could have a motion to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn, Erpenbach.
Second.
It's been a motion to adjourn and seconded. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you very much, City Council. Great night. And to the folks of Sioux Falls, have a great night. This meeting is adjourned.